Hi, this is Andrew Thorpe. I'm the founder of a concept called Speakeasy Groups, and I also work as a trainer in communication skills. And I'd like to talk to you today about a journey that I'd really love you to go on. I'm going to explain how I can help you go down this path and why it will benefit you. If you've got a product or a service to sell, you've got to market it. And obviously that involves really two main things. First of all, you've got to get noticed. If nobody knows you exist, that's no good. Secondly, you've got to make an impact when you get there. Now, Speakeasy Groups, which are essentially workshops which meet every month in and around the northwest of England, were originally designed to help with the second one. In other words, how are you going to deliver a compelling message when you're face to face with your audience? You're looking for platforms to do this all the time. You know, obviously with networking, you've got your elevator pitch, that sort of 60-second overview. You've perhaps got the 10-minute showcase slot when you have longer to explain what you're about. And then obviously there's conversations, and maybe you get to the point where you can pitch in front of potential clients in the boardroom. But people often let themselves down. That might be because of, all sorts of things. Poor vocal delivery, they might confuse people with jargon, or maybe they come across as patronizing because they don't quite pitch it properly. They state the obvious. It could be poor body language, so their audience gets distracted. Or maybe they fail to buy the messenger because there's just something about him or her which they don't like, they don't warm to. Or it may be that they just don't simply know their own story well enough. They fail to get across the essence of what they're about, and they deliver a bland, factual presentation that excites no one, and it fails to distinguish them from their many, many rivals. So our speakeasy groups are really good for improving your storytelling skills, and that's a very different thing than presenting facts. So you make more of an impact with this approach when you pitch your ideas to your audience. But I've run about 75 of these workshops now in the year and a half that they've been operating. And during that time, I began to understand that there's a lot greater depth behind what we're doing. So, for example, Speakeasy has encouraged people to reflect more deeply on their story. It's got them thinking things like, what am I really about and why should anyone care? So for many businesses, it's a case of, marketing is usually a case of pushing a bland, factual, vanilla message on as many people as possible, regardless of whether they need or want to hear it. It's classic push marketing. And for many businesses, networking is simply a case of being there. Plonk yourself in a networking event. We exist. This is what we do. We're really good. Here's my card. Buy us. But the trouble is that we've been doing this for many, many years, this sort of shove enough marketing into the top of the funnel approach. And you work the numbers game. You work on a percentage basis that, that'll generate so many leads or so much business. But the difficulty is that this sort of scattergun push approach creates an awful lot of noise. And our response to this as an audience is very simple. We tend to ignore stuff. We put our defences up. We develop a natural scepticism, a kind of a defence mechanism which leads us to be naturally distrustful of things. So if you think of that marketing funnel, it means that we're pushing more and more stuff in the top, but the end of the funnel's becoming thinner and thinner. It's becoming narrower, because less is coming out the other end. It's kind of a broken system, or becoming a broken system. So with Speakeasy and all the work I do, we focus on the opposite approach. We focus on a pull strategy. Let's look at your product and service. Let's see what's remarkable about it. And remember that remarkable means worthy of being remarked upon. In other words, are the things that you're saying about yourselves worth listening to? Are the things that you're doing special? And are you telling that story properly when you're out networking and marketing yourselves? So a simple example of this would be the difference between, delivering a bland, factual, vanilla message, a vanilla pitch about, we're based in so-and-so, we've been in existence for so many years, we're, an accountancy firm, we do tax, we do succession planning, we do, VAT returns, all those sorts of things. Totally forgettable. But instead, if you talk about, the things that you believe in as a firm, what do you stand for? What's your cause, or what mission are you on? And why do you feel so strongly about it, and why anyone should care, about the way you feel about things? Why should anyone care why you do what you do in the particular way that you do? Maybe you could give some examples of how you've transformed someone's fortunes, a really compelling case study, how you've turned things around for somebody. And maybe a little bit about your struggle as well. There's nothing wrong with a bit of vulnerability there. Explain to people what led you to set the firm up in the first place, how things didn't always go to plan, but, you overcame those hurdles, you became wiser as a result, you realised that you could learn things from others, and in the process you've become very, very smart in the way that you do things. And these things are really interesting to listen to. They help you to stand out. It appeals to certain people. It will resonate with certain members of your audience who are attracted to your particular brand of the way you do things, your particular brand of business. And this is classic pull marketing. It means that people will seek you out. They become your fans, your followers, and effectively your salespeople. So instead of throwing a pushy message on an audience who largely don't want or need to hear what you're offering, you build relationships with people who already like you and they feel they know you already. It's amazing, isn't it? If you have people come to you who feel they know you, even though you don't know them yet, and they've effectively broken through that barrier of distrust because you've pulled them in, because what you have to offer is worth being attracted to. But can you see how it all starts with your story? It's got to be distinctive, it has to be authentic, it's got to be passionately and skillfully expressed. And this is how you develop pull, it's how you develop influence, and it allows you to attract a loyal, higher value client base more quickly and at less cost. Now that's got to be worth something too. I'm not saying it's easy, it's not. And if it were easy, everybody would be doing it perfectly well, but they're not. People are struggling with push marketing, they're getting fewer returns from traditional approaches, and things have changed dramatically in the last 3, 4, 5 years or so, particularly with social media. Remember that with social media, everybody has a voice now. Everybody has a megaphone because all these platforms are free. But that doesn't mean that the quality of what's being expressed is equally high. There's a lot of rubbish out there, and our task is to distinguish the pushy spam from the stuff that's really worth paying attention to. And that requires us to put good stuff out there. And again, this relates to your story. So in the next clip, in the next audio or video that I'm going to put together with this, I'm going to show you how you move along a continuum. I call it the Speakeasy journey. And that continuum starts with we know of you. In other words, you just exist and turn up. To you're worth knowing. And this is where people begin to understand the true value that you offer. They begin to see you as being distinctive, as standing out from the rest. To ultimately, we can't do without you. You become indispensable. You're part of the fabric of your clients' companies. You're almost one of the family, part of their DNA. And this journey I'll split up into 6 levels, and you'll be able to see the progression which can be gone through, the journey that you can go down to become more influential and more successful and earn more money with less cost and less effort. So I hope you'll join me on that journey.